Conviction as of 28th November. Mr. Benning was arrested the same day on misdemeanor charges to which he pleaded guilty and served his time. We intend to move forward with the impeachment hearing, and the media be allowed to sit in on the proceedings in order to keep the citizens of San Andreas informed. Governor Paxton will be announcing a replacement for Mr. Benning sometime this week. Bex Lawson will answer some questions about this and speak about some recent bills.
Hello. Thank you to everyone who came out. I know it's always short notice when we have these little impromptu conversations, but I very much appreciate your presence and helping us distribute this news. As Mr. Jackson noted, we will be having a fifth state rep join us shortly. This person will be appointed by the governor due to the way the system works. We are past the halfway point of the term, and running a snap election would simply be inefficient. By the time the campaign was done, the person would be, preparing to run for a second term. So instead, we'll be moving forward in the most efficient way possible so that we can get back to working for the people of this state. With that in mind, we have submitted and voted on a number of bills today, namely that is HR 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, and 57. These bills have been submitted by a variety of representatives, and I think they, show that we are committed to continuing to work for the citizens of San Andreas. We are focusing on the needs of the people, and we have more bills in the works. I encourage citizens to regularly check the proposed bills section of the government website. Everything that we put up that is a bill and not a resolution has to sit there for 7 days until such a time as the public has had adequate time to review it, at which point they're welcome to contact us at any point throughout this process. Please make sure to check the government employees app on your phone and reach out. We would love to hear your concerns. With that in mind, I can now take questions from the media.
Travis Rice, CNT. Given the fact that impeachment's only goal historically has been to remove a official from office, and no matter which way the official leaves office, once left, the impeachment proceedings cease. Under what justification do you have for continuing impeachment proceedings at this point?
The impeachment proceedings, and this will be made quite apparent based off the evidence and witnesses that we are introducing during the hearing. These are for instances that happened while Mr. Benning was in office. We strongly believe as a state government that there is a certain standard of behavior that should be met, and if that standard of behavior is not met, then there are professional consequences. This is the same whether you are a state representative or a cashier at Burger Shot. This is not a particularly new element of holding a professional position. The hearing will allow us to go over these incidents and determine an appropriate consequence, be that impeachment or something. We decide that, we review the evidence and we will decide then.
Again, my question was given the fact that historically impeachment ceases once the impeached individual has left office by any means. Why the break from the historical precedent at this time?
Impeachment is simply the process by which, we initiate an investigation for misconduct. As I mentioned, this misconduct has happened. It happened while Mr. Benning was in office, and we believe it's important to highlight this behavior, to investigate it thoroughly, and to move forward with the impeachment. To do otherwise, we feel like would send a message that state representatives are above consequence, and that is not true.
Again, historically, impeachment is only to remove the state representatives so they can stand.
I understand your question. I have answered it. I understand that you would prefer a different answer, but we will have to move on to different members of the media to give them the time they need to ask their questions. So we will be moving on. Thank you.
Harry Kennedy with Weasel News. Just wanted to talk about the reasons for his resignation. You just want to clarify what those were?
Good question, dude.
Mr. Benning gave a brief statement. He is, of course, welcome to make his own statement to the public or media at his leisure, and I will not make a statement on his behalf.
Wyatt Diaz with CNT. What was the reason for his arrest on the day that he resigned?
2 misdemeanor charges. Uttering threats and evading. We are also introducing Mr. Hall, Mr. Cyrus Hunt. He will be here to answer Mr. Ray's question from another perspective, so that we can have that handled.
Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, could you please repeat your question one more time?
Yes, considering that impeachment is only to remove used only to remove government officials so they can stand trial, and that historically impeachment has never been concerned about criminal liability, but those impeached and removed by the impeachment process would stand trial for any crimes committed any crimes committed related to the impeachment at a later time in the judiciary. Historically, impeachment has never been followed through when the impeached official resigns from office. There's plenty of precedent for that. So my question is, why break with the precedent? Penning was already moved through the court system. They found that they could not convict him on the on the charges that he was brought up for impeachment. Again, because they're two separate systems. But since he is now technically removed from office by whatever means possible, historically impeachment in this situation would cease. So my question is, why is impeachment moving forward at this time?
Sure. That's a good question, Travis. And I think it really comes back to the olden times. I don't think you need to be a constitutional scholar to know that the argument that they may be presenting or asking them to adopt is not just wrong, but it's dangerous. You don't have to take my word for it as well. We've seen over the past, as you mentioned, the United States Senate. They have reached that same conclusion in one form or another over the past 200 years in multiple occasions. So they've reached the conclusion that you can try, convict, and disqualify a president, a state representative, a senator, whatever it may be. And the fact that there's some leaving exception in the Constitution is incorrect. The the state representatives, they can't commit grave offenses, and then in their days they leave and escape any congressional response. It's just not how our Constitution works. And they go through it briefly. I think it was 1797, a long time ago. I think it was a decade after our country had ratified the Constitution. There was a senator from Tennessee. His name was William Blount, if I recall correctly, and he was essentially caught conspiring with the British to try and sell from Florida to Louisiana, so on and so forth. President Adams at the time caught him. He turned over the evidence to the Congress. 4 days later, the House of Representatives impeached him. A day after that, the United States Senate expelled him from office. So he was very much a former official. Despite that, the House went forward with its impeachment in order to disqualify him from ever holding a federal office or a state office. And so in that case, the Senate proceeded with the trial, and they had somebody preside. So I think that the mere presence that this has not happened before, I would say it's incorrect. It's happened many times over the past, and this is not something new. The fact that somebody can commit a crime, then they can leave office, and then they can say, hey, because I left, I can no longer be held liable. As I mentioned, it's not only concerning, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous for any former or current state representative to ever say that.
Just a quick note on your historic precedent. What's the name of that senator again?
William Blount or Blount. It's William, common spelling Blount.
So I'm actually quite familiar with Senator Blunt's impeachment charge. I actually did a little reporting for another site on it a few years back. What actually transpired in that one was the House did introduce impeachment charges against him. However, the Senate's removal was almost timed right to the moment of the within a few hours of that. What was actually going on was the Senate had found the Constitution gives both houses of government the ability to expel their own members. So, in fact, that very first impeachment case actually set a historical precedent that legislators are not impeachable officials per the Constitution. That's why Senator Blunt was the only senator who has ever been impeached, and he was never convicted on the charges.
Sure. And I'm happy to discuss the Constitution, but if we want to go, back into history, I think there was another case, and I'm not going to talk too much on it. I don't want to take over the press conference from State Representative Lawson, but I'll end on this note. It was the William Belknap case, if I recall. I'm not sure if you recall it as well. But they heard the argument. They heard the argument that because someone left the office, they could no longer be impeached, convicted, and disqualified. When the senators heard that argument, they were sitting in that room, and they were outraged by the argument. Literally outraged. You can read the comments from their proceeding. They knew that it was dangerous, it was a dangerous argument, and it had dangerous implications. It would literally mean that anyone could betray their office, leave office, and avoid impeachment and disqualification entirely. And that's why, in the end, the United States Senate decisively voted that the Constitution required them to proceed with the trial. So I think that if you look through the history and you see how the Senate or the congressional staff have ruled, I think you'll see that it's quite apparent that, again, as they stated themselves, it's a dangerous argument with dangerous implications. And no state representative can commit a crime and leave office and then avoid punishment. That's not how our system works. And it never will be how our system works. I hope I could respond to your question. I'm going to hand it back over to Ms. Lawson. Thank you for the question, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. I appreciate your legal expertise on the matter. I can take any different questions now if anyone would like to discuss anything else about this. If that wraps it, then you are certainly welcome to email with any follow-up questions. We will update when we have announcements, for instance, Governor Paxton's choice for the new 5th state rep. But otherwise, thank you for your time. We very much appreciate your interest and presence, and we will be in touch as we move towards...
Representative, I do actually have a question about the replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Given that election season is less than a month away, I believe there's going to be an announcement for the new elections sometime proceeding. Wouldn't it just be prudent to let the people decide who Mr. Benning's replacement is?
That would be with the snap election. And due to the way sorry, I'm speaking. So the way that the system works is if you did a snap election, if you did a election due to the way that we run a democracy, we would have a campaign cycle. That would include debates. It would include time for candidates to make their platform public and so on and so forth. In our Constitution, it is written that when in an instance like this, we're rolling out the entire cycle of election and debate and presentation of ideas would simply be ridiculous. By the time we voted in a new 5th state official, we would already be, they would already have to prepare for a brand new campaign. So this is simply the way that we can provide the public with the services they need. This will be a very short-lived appointment, so I don't imagine it will radically change the course of our democracy, but it is a compromise that allows for us to get back to our jobs and go back to serving the citizens of San Andreas.
Quick question. Considering that snap elections are not historically a thing in the United States, that's more of a parliamentary thing. And United States has traditionally left, this close to an election, left the seat vacant for the people to decide. Again, would it not be prudent for the people to decide, given that the election season starts in, I believe, about 2 weeks or so?
You have identified the fact that we do not run on the exact same precedents as the rest of the United States, and we have our own state constitution, which is public and available to peruse. So that is correct. That is the way the system works. And we will be moving forward with this. I am sure with the elections opening, and as you said, 2 weeks, the people will have the chance to vote for the representatives that they best think suits their values.
Question for you, Representative Lawson. Do you personally think that the way that we should wait, or do you think we should be moving? Do you think we should wait for people to decide, or do you think, or do you believe that?
Personally, I am. What I can say is I am serving in my role as press secretary, and so I don't answer questions from a perspective point of view. But if you ever run into me at public, perhaps at the Magic Teapot, I would love to discuss the ins and outs of democracy.
I believe you mean the Little Teapot?
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Representative.
Of course. All right, with that done, thank you so much. If anyone has follow-up questions, please feel free to contact me. Otherwise, thank you for your time, and we very much appreciate it.